All right, everybody, peace. Welcome to the Sorry to Bother You show. Wherever or however you're listening, we're so grateful to have you here with us. As you guys know, I'm your host, Sean Cottle. And listen, we had a little bit of a hiatus for the past couple of months, but now we are back and we're providing more coverage more than ever for you guys. And no better way to start out our first show back with basketball. So, today, guys, on our basketball show, we are going to be recapping two Game 6 matchups, both in the Eastern Conference, one of them being between the Philadelphia 76ers and the New York Knicks, as well as the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Both of those games could potentially, or will potentially, impact legacies of the star players involved in those series. We'll start with the legacy of Joel Embiid and what impact the events that transpired over Game 6, what impact that will have on his legacy moving forward. And we're also going to talk later on about the legacies of Damian Lillard and Doc Rivers and even Giannis, and what impact the results of their Game 6 matchup and their first round exit by the hands of the Indiana Pacers, what impact that will have on their legacies. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? All right, like I said, we're going to start out the show with, we're going to question whether Joel Embiid's legacy should be taken into question after the Philadelphia 76ers lost in Game 6 to the New York Knicks. New York Knicks now advanced to the second round, and Philadelphia 76ers have been sent home. And Joel Embiid played well in Game 6. He had 39 points, 100% from the free throw line, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, shooting just under 50% from the field, going 12-25. And when we question whether Embiid's legacy should take a hit, we have to first establish what Joel Embiid's legacy has been so far in the NBA, and that has been that of a player with a generational talent, an MVP from last year, one of the top 5 players in the NBA, perhaps one of the best centers we've seen this generation. But there's no question he's had to deal with a bevy of injuries throughout his career, and this season was no different. Obviously, he missed a good portion of the season with another knee injury, and he was not at 100% for this series. But his injuries are nothing new for. In terms of his legacy, people know that he's going to be injury prone. So the question becomes, is Joel Embiid among the all-time greats when it comes to centers? When it comes to talent level, yes, but there's more than just talent that goes into being listed among the all-time greats, and winning plays a factor in that. And that has to be taken into account. We have to begin to really question how much is winning or lack thereof going to impact Joel Embiid's legacy. And listen, he's never gotten past the second round. He, like I said, suffered a first round loss this season. Blew a 3-2 lead last year to Boston. And there's been ample moments where Joel Embiid has come up short in the playoffs. Now, I will say this series he has performed quite well. He performed well, but like I said, he wasn't at 100%. And the fact of the matter is, we, as a player, when you're on the court, whatever ailments, injuries you may have, get thrown out the door because you're judged based on your performance. And if you're physically unable to perform, then you don't play. But if you play, then we have to judge you as any other player. And that's just the objective truth behind it. And because Joel Embiid he played well, by my standards. Now we have to judge him based solely on is he winning or is his performance good enough to merit a win, and if not, why? And I do want to say that Joel Embiid's performance, or Philadelphia, I should say, the 76ers losing in this first round against the Knicks, there's also a lot of other factors that go into play as well. One being that the Philadelphia 76ers weren't really a 6th seed, because Joel Embiid was injured for most of the season. They fell, and they didn't have as good of a record as many people expected. But health plays a factor in it. And also the Knicks. The Knicks are a great team. Listen, they were the 3 seed for a reason. A lot of people didn't expect the Knicks to be this good, but with the addition of OG Anunoby, and honestly, with Julius Randle being out, it has really opened up the floor for the Knicks, and it has created more fluid ball movement with Julius Randle being gone. And you can argue that the Knicks are a better team now without Randle. And the Knicks are one of the best rebounding teams in the league as well. And the Knicks are not the Knicks of old. This is a legitimate good Knicks team that has a legitimate chance of competing with the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. So this was a tough first round matchup for the Philadelphia 76ers, but also not to mention the fact that Tobias Harris of the Philadelphia 76ers was getting paid $180 million, $40 million this season. In 29 minutes, went 0 for 2, had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, but didn't score. Did not score a single point, with a plus-minus and -10. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about that, his Tobias' performance or lack thereof during Game 6. But that has been nothing new this series. Tobias Harris has come up woefully short this series, and I'm not going to blame Joel Embiid for that. Nick Nurse has to do a better job of realizing that Tobias Harris has not been playing well this series, and supplement that with Buddy Hield, who in last night's game had, in 21 minutes, shot 6 of 10 from the field, 6 of 9 from 3-point line, and 20 points with a plus-minus of +12. But it's unfortunate because Buddy Hield was essentially out of the rotation for the past month and a half for Philly. And, I know he was hurt for a little bit of the season, but that just doesn't explain why Buddy Hield was not getting playing time over the course of the series. And, I put that on Nick Nurse and the inability to make adjustments. So for Philadelphia moving forward, what is your plan of attack? Obviously, you have to keep it around. You have to center everything around Embiid. And with Maxey continuing to improve and turn into an all-star level point guard, has the potential to turn into an all-NBA player, depending on how he develops this offseason. But you need a third piece, because clearly Tobias Harris is not the third piece that you expect it to be. And with a lot of supplementary pieces with Batum and, like I said, Buddy Hield and Kelly Oubre, there's no third piece. There's no third star, and Philadelphia's going to need that if they want to maximize the winning potential while they had Joel Embiid. But with Joel Embiid's inability to lead the Sixers team to a conference finals, at least, we should start to begin to question Joel Embiid's legacy in terms of his winning acumen. Is he a generational talent with just talent and performs well, but doesn't really produce a lot of wins and victories and a lot of playoff success? So then does he fall into the lines of, i.e. like a James Harden or a Russell Westbrook, or players within that ilk? you know, that remains to be seen. But as of right now, as an analyst, I'm beginning to question that. I'm beginning to question just how much of a winning legacy does Joel Embiid have, if any. And so then I start to question how good he really is. He's a great talent, but that talent isn't producing the victories warranted to be on the level of even of Nikola Jokic. And not to make the comparison, but last year I was extremely adamant that Joel Embiid was the best center in the league. But we reflect and we move forward a year later to today, and listen, my stance has completely changed on that. That Nikola Jokic is by far the best center in the league right now, better than Joel Embiid. But that's what winning does. The good thing is that Joel Embiid is still in the prime of his career. Philadelphia has to figure out what they're going to do in terms of his availability moving forward. Should they load manage him even more? Perhaps even waiting until the All-Star break to start playing him? I don't think he would do that because it affects the chemistry and the rhythm and the flow. But they have to figure something out in order to maximize the playing time for Joel Embiid. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I would love to know what you guys think about whether we should begin to question Joel Embiid's legacy moving forward after the Sixers' first round exit. But that being said, guys, in our next segment, we are going to be discussing, once again, the legacies of the players and coaches on the Milwaukee Bucks after their first round exit to the Indiana Pacers. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our show, we discussed the potential impact that losing in the first round against the New York Knicks, what impact that will have on Joel Embiid's legacy, and if it should. And it will have impact on his legacy because at the end of the day, winning has to account for something in the sports world. And we all understand the injuries that Joel Embiid has played through, not just this series, but throughout his career as well. But your availability and your ability to perform plays a factor in how you're viewed and how your legacy is viewed. And until Joel Embiid has an extended playoff run of success in terms of getting to at least the conference finals, then there will always be a stigma that's looked at Embiid in terms of him not being a player that can lead his team to ample winning success in the playoffs. But in this segment, guys, we're going to be discussing what is the future of the Milwaukee Bucks and what impact their loss, their first round exit against the hands of the Indiana Pacers, will have on the legacies of some of their star players as well, i.e. Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and even their head coach in Doc Rivers. So as you guys know, the Indiana Pacers defeated the Milwaukee Bucks last night by a score of 120-98 at home in a Game 6 matchup, eliminating the Milwaukee Bucks, moving on to the second round where they will face the New York Knicks. The Milwaukee Bucks, we all know the injuries they dealt with. Damian Lillard missed 2 games this series. Giannis did not play at all this series. But credit Indiana with this series win. Indiana turned things around after their blowout loss in Game 1 to Milwaukee. They understood and they found out how different the intensity level and the physicality is when it comes to playoff basketball, and they shifted and they adjusted, and they showed over the course of the series that Indiana was by far the better team. And if you're Milwaukee, if you're the Milwaukee organization, you have to start questioning now the direction you're going to move in. You're going to go moving forward. This is 2 straight years that you were the higher seed and you were predicted to at least make it to the conference finals. Both times, both seasons ending in first round exits. You have a older point guard in Damian Lillard who doesn't play much defense, which did have an impact on the defensive efficiency from Milwaukee this season, which is something we talked about. So this is nothing new for us. So you have an older point guard in Damian Lillard who scores in bunches, but those scoring outputs doesn't always equate to wins for a team. You have a all-time great superstar in Giannis Antetokounmpo who could very well be leaving Milwaukee, even with the extension. But this is something I talked about before the season started, that just because you sign or you trade for Dame, if you don't win, Giannis is going to leave. And Giannis has made that very clear, even with some of the statements he made about playing in another market before the season started. Listen, at the end of the day, if you don't win for Milwaukee, you're going to lose Giannis, and you have to start to question the direction that these guys that Milwaukee's going. And yeah, they have Chris Middleton as well. But they have a lot of supplementary pieces, with Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez and Malik Beasley. But you really don't have much outside of that. I mean, listen, even last night, it's coming off the bench, the highest scorer was Pat Connaughton with 3 points. And you sign guys like I said, Malik Beasley, who you expect to be a key piece, role player, come off the bench. But in 23 minutes, he shot 1 of 5, over 2 from 3-point line, and had 2 points. So you have to start reconstructing your lineup if you're Milwaukee, because you will lose Giannis. If you don't lose him this offseason, you will for surely lose him next season, because you have about 4 years of Dame playing all-star level basketball. But even with that, Dame's defensive output doesn't equate to what he does offensively. And that affects the entire team of Milwaukee. And we're seeing that now, because that puts more pressure on the low post players to play help side and recover. And when they recover, it makes it easier for opposing teams to just kick out to 3-point line, to open shooters. And so that's why Milwaukee, was one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. Not to mention the fact with the hiring of Doc Rivers, you guys know how I feel about Doc Rivers. He did a great job of leading Boston to that championship in 2008, but he has woefully underperformed as a coach over the course of his career. And Do I think all that is on him? No, but there's been constant evidence of him leading teams to underwhelming results, underperforming, and that has to account for something. And the way things are constructed now, I just don't see Giannis staying in Milwaukee. I can see it. I could see Giannis leaving this season, acting during this off season, but this will impact the legacy of obviously Doc Rivers and less Giannis, but also Dame as well. Because listen, Dame wanted to be in a position to win, to play winning basketball, to lead a team potentially with talent to a deep playoff run, and he had that. He had it. He had it this year, and he had an opportunity to show the world that he can lead a team deep into a playoff run. But yes, he was injured. He had injuries as well. But when you're on the court, you have to perform, and he, like you said, he puts up the numbers, has the offset output, but not much is added after that. And that the small guard, the small combo guard mold of scoring in bunches never has led to winning high winning output. You look at, like I said, look at Dame, you look at Allen Iverson, you look at Isaiah Thomas before Joe Dumars arrived in Detroit. You look at all these players, and that's been the norm. Undersized combo guards have to have the ability to play defense, but if they're just going to be scorers, that doesn't equate to winning in any generation. And Dame is no different. But you have to credit the Indiana Pacers for what they've done, and their ability to play consistent and efficient offense. Listen, throughout this series, they had 4 games in which they had 30 plus assists. The entire rest of the field in the NBA playoffs has 2 combined. So obviously Indiana is playing at a highly efficient rate offensively. I think this is more so just bad Milwaukee, and they're going to be in a state of influx, and it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward. And we'll discuss that more as the offseason comes along. But there are a lot of questions to be had in Milwaukee moving forward, especially after this first round exit. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What do you guys think Milwaukee should do moving forward with Doc Rivers, with Giannis, with Dame, with their supporting cast? What should be the game plan for Milwaukee moving forward? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. But guys, in our next segment, we are going to be previewing the Game 6 matchup between the Clippers and the Mavericks. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the last segment of our show, we discussed the future of the Milwaukee Bucks and what impact their loss, their first round exit to the Indian Pacers, will have on their franchise and the legacies of Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo moving forward. And in this last segment, guys, we're going to be discussing our preview of the Game 6 matchup between the Clippers and the Mavs. As you guys know, the Mavs won Game 5 in LA pretty handily. Kawhi did not play, and his status is currently uncertain for Game 6 tonight. But this has been a back and forth series. Both teams putting high offensive outputs, putting up high offensive numbers, and you could argue the play's been pretty inconsistent on both ends as well. You get one game where LA blows out Dallas, then you get another game where Dallas blows out the Clippers, then you get the Clippers again, who get up by 30 points, but then allows Dallas to come back and make the game close. Then you get Dallas again, where they blow out the Clippers, which is pretty interesting because, especially with this Clippers lineup, you got guys that have quote-unquote playoff experience, and they're allowing this fluctuation in their level of play. It's clear that both teams don't plan on playing any sort of defense, so it's in my mind in this series, it's really the first team to 115, the first team to 110, somewhere around that area, right? Because it's clear that neither team plans on playing any sort of defense for an extended period of time or extended duration of the game. So the question becomes for the Clippers: will their stars be able to play consistent over the course of the game? Will Paul George be able to put up the same numbers he put up in game 4? Will James Harden be able to play the same way he played in game 4? Will Russell Westbrook be able to play the same way he played in game 1? Since game 1, Russell Westbrook has shot 4 of 32 from the field, and one of those games where he only scored 1 point, the game got ejected in game 3. And if you're the Clippers, you need Paul George and James Harden to play well, to play excellent. But you also need your supplementary pieces, specifically Terrence Mann and Norman Powell, to play well coming off the bench. And Zubac has played well this season. You have to feed Zubac for the Clippers. Too often times the Clippers have gone away from feeding the inside post with Zubac, taking advantage of that size differential they have against the Mavericks, and that leads to their inconsistency, their inconsistent play. Because you have to make the Mavs work defensively, not just in the fast break, but also in the half court as well. You not only doing that, but also that the more time you take on the offensive end, you're taking away possessions from Dallas, who likes to get out on the court and run. And the Clippers have shown that they have the ability to play efficiently within the half court, so you have to take advantage of that, especially with the size differential you have if you're the Clippers. And if you're the Mavs, you have to continue to do what has led you guys to having success, and that is getting the ball out early, whether you're lukadoncic or Kyrieirving, getting the ball out early to that off guard and hitting your bigs that run the break, because Lively and PJ Washington have been absolute blessings to this Dallas Mavericks team. We talk about what they have been able to do on the offensive end, but they provide a little bit of a presence defensively. So if you're Dallas, you have to get the ball out early and often, not allow the ball to stick within any of your star players' hands, whether it be, like I said, Kyrie or Luka. Get the ball out early, force the Clippers to run, and attack early, attack often. Force the double teams, and now you get the lobs and dump downs to, like I said, to Washington and Gafford. And then the collapsing of the defense also allows you to kick it out to your shooters and Hardaway Jr. And that's the key to success for Dallas. And will the Clippers, with their playoff experience, their veteran leadership, will that lead them to winning on the road in Dallas? That remains to be seen. But there's no question. There were a little bit of questions about, do the Clippers play better without Kawhi in the lineup? Listen, man, Kawhi is one of the best. You could argue top 10. I would say, no question, top 10. But he's one of the few players in the NBA where he can be the best player on your team, and your team has legitimate chance of being of winning a championship. So he's one of the few superstars in the NBA right now. So there's no question the Clippers are better with Kawhi. The question becomes: does Kawhi trust his knee? Does Kawhi personally think he's healthy enough to play? You saw when Kawhi played last time in Game 4, he didn't trust his knee. In Game 3, he didn't trust his knee. You could tell he didn't look healthy, and because he didn't trust his knee, he started second guessing. He began to second guess himself, and he wasn't as aggressive as he normally is, and that obviously affected the Clippers. Not just in their actual level, their play, but also in the mentality. So if you're Kawhi, you should only play if you have complete trust in your knee. If not, then you don't play. And to defend Kawhi, I want to give him a little bit of credit because he's been playing with a debilitating knee injury for the past 5 years. But no one in the media wants to call it a debilitating knee injury. They just call it a different type of injury. But it's clear he has some sort of debilitating knee injury that he's continually playing through. And that is extremely difficult. So, you have to give Kawhi credit for that. But during this game, I do believe the Clippers will win this game. I do think the game will be close. I have the Clippers winning this game by a score of 107 to 100. Moving forward to Game 7. Just because the Dallas hasn't shown me that they have the ability to play great defense 2 games in a row. They haven't shown that consistency on the defensive end. Which is why I believe that the Clippers will win this game. And I do think that Paul George is going to have a good performance, and I think that Russell Westbrook is going to have a good performance as well. James Harden remains to be seen. James Harden is another player that's been wildly inconsistent. But, people talk about this series being exciting. I think it's just more so the level of inconsistency with both teams. We've seen the best of each team, but we've also seen the worst. And that's pretty emblematic of each of these teams' seasons so far. Or, this season for each of these teams. But the regular season is really just it's the foundation building process for each team. And whatever foundation you've established for yourself is what's represented in the playoffs. It's what's represented in the postseason. So the regular season does play a factor. It does have a level of importance to it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you guys think the Clippers are going to win this game, or do you think that the Mavs are going to close out this series with a Game 6 victory? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I would love to hear all about it, guys. But with that being said, guys, that's it for our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful show. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button already. If you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/sorrytobotheryoushow/tip. Once again, it's streamelements.com/sorrytobotheryoushow/tip. None of this is possible without you guys as fans. We're so grateful and honored for all the love and support that you show us, and it's a blessing to have this platform with you guys. With that being said, guys, we'll be back again on Monday, same time, 11:30 a.m. with another show. Until then, guys, continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and peace.